Hello and welcome to live coverage on our One Place Sports Networks for a very, very exciting and mouth-watering panel discussion that we have lined up for you with a number of guests that have an immense amount of pedigree. And the topic that will be discussed today is International Webinar on Olympism and Olympic Education in the 21st Century. We're going to be talking about the philosophy of the Olympics and Olympism. And as I mentioned, we have a mouth-watering set of panelists who are a part of this discussion, and I'll introduce them one by one such that they can enter the front stage. They're currently waiting very patiently on the backstage. So we'll kick things off with Dr. Narinder Dhruv Batra, who, as you all know, is the president of the Indian Olympic Association and a member of the Indian Olympic Commission. Then we have Mr. Prashant Kushwaha, who's the chairman of the Olympic Education Committee. Mrs. Anju Bobby George, who's India's first and only medalist at the Senior Athletics World Championships and is a former chair of the Target Olympic Podium Scheme and a current Athletes Commission chair. Mr. Ayaz Memon, who, of course, you must be familiar with on our One Place Sports Networks, who's the consulting chief editor at One Place Sports. And to round off the panel, we have Mr. Anshul Bagai, who's the director of Academy of Sports Science Research and Management. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for this very exciting chat that we have lined up on our One Place Sports Networks. Dr. Batra, I can kick things off with you. Dr. Batra, for all of viewers who are watching, of course, they have some idea about the history of the Olympics, the philosophy of Olympism, what Olympism means, but it would be extremely helpful if you can first talk about what the Olympic Education Commission is all about.
Thank you very much for inviting me today. So, good evening to all my panelists and all the viewers. So, I hope everybody is doing well and keeping safe. That's very important nowadays. You will see me with a beard because I am home quarantine, so I'm too lazy to shave. So, excuse me for that. You asked about Olympic Education Commission. See, the Olympic Education Commission advises the IOC session, the IOC Executive Board, and the IOC President on the promotion of Olympic values-based education and provides strategic direction on IOC programs and activities related to the education of youth in sports. These are the basic principles for which the Olympic Education Commission has been formed.
Understood. And just a quick follow-up question, Dr. Batra. You, of course, give us a nice high-level description of what the Olympic Education Commission is all about. But if you could talk a bit more about the responsibilities of the Olympic Education Commission, especially in the International Olympic Committee.
Yes, so we have also formed our committee in India, also an Olympic Education Academy. Then Mr. Prashant Kushwaha, who is part of this panel, is the chair of that committee, and he is very active, I see, in organizing all these programs, and I wish him all good luck and all my support in doing all these activities. Now, you asked about the responsibilities of Olympic Education Commission internationally, and they also apply on India. The responsibilities of Olympic Education Commission are to advise, it's an advisory word, to advise on the development and implementation of Olympic values education strategy, advocacy for quality physical education and integration of values in school curricula, and for suitable age and appropriate sports in school settings. So these are few of the things which it does. In addition to that, it does the dissemination of Olympic values in various various communication channels in the IOC, and for the promotion of importance of sport and physical activity for youth development and education. So these are our activities which it follows in how to implement, how to suggest, how to advise. And it goes on further with delivery of Olympic values education program and development of resources for teachers and educators on Olympic values and life skills. So we also go into the development process of teachers, educators to guide, advise. All these programs also happen in this. Then integration of Olympic values education into IOC properties. And partner programs such as Athlete Career Development Program, which is very important nowadays. With the athletes, we coordinate for their career development post their retirement or post their career, when they retire from the active athlete career. So what is the career development prospects and how they go. Then there are massive online open courses for Youth Olympic Games, WADA, etc. There are a few of these courses which go on advising people and they can participate in that. Then, addition to that is optimization of strategic partnerships with IOC recognized organizations. The IOC recognized various organizations, so we also communicate and interact with them on these programs. Then, working in field of education and support sport for development programs, which focus on development of life skills and values in education. And this Olympic Education Commission of IOC is supported by the Culture and Heritage Department of International Olympic Committee. I think I've just tried to sum up. Maybe it was a bit too long, but just to sum up what are the activities and responsibilities which the Olympic Education Program handles.
Absolutely, Dr. Batra. You certainly very comprehensively explained the very expansive set of roles and responsibilities that the Commission has. Dr. Batra, you took Mr. Kushwaha's name, so that's a cue for me to come to him. Mr. Kushwaha, the first question that I'll ask you before talking about the committee is, what was your experience like while at the International Olympic Academy in 2011, I believe that was?
First of all, I would like to thank President Mr. Batra that he has given us time for a very short notice. I'm also thankful that he has formed a committee, keeping in mind the consideration of people who are working into education and Olympic education field from a long. And the committee has been formed and we are working on it. And there is, as you see, on 11th and 12th, we are coming up with the big seminar where 18 foreign speakers will be there in this webinar. So hopefully Minister is going to open it. It will be confirmed in some time. So it is, first of all, it is, we are thankful for him that he has given opportunity to work for me for heading this committee. Whereas you said for the 2011, I was sent by Indian Olympic Association at that time in a program which was organized by the Olympic Academy in Greece. It is in Athens where the first Olympic was there. A beautiful academy is there. It has been structured and layout and architecturally it's one of the art class thing there. So we were there for a month and all the values, what to do, all the planning, how to advise, what to move has been taught over there for 20 days. We are supposed to put all our notes and the assignments were also given. So we have everything given over there and finally I completed that course from 2001. After that, I was working with the IFA, International Association for people who are working in the same field. So we are working together from almost 10 years in small seminar things are going on. It's given us chance, so we are coming up with an open platform first time, and we hope we can give the best result to India. It's something like that people don't understand, so that I will make it some more broader sense. I will let you know. Like Olympic is only Olympic. It's only 10,000 some odd people play that Olympic and they have a chance to go there. But it altogether a fraternity to make the thousands of players play on district level, national level, then India level, then Asia level, and then some at world level, and out of which some goes to the Olympics. So rest all people need education, need what are not as Dr. said, President has said, the education, it's not only playing, the education after careers, what they will do, what they will find out, how they will behave there, what is their basic nature. These are all things we take care from the grassroots, as Sir told. It includes everything related to Olympic education. Playing is a different field to participate in Olympics. Parallelly, education goes on. Thank you.
Absolutely. And you touched upon the education aspect. You talked about education, Olympic education. So, Mr. Anshul Bagai, I'll ask you this question. How do you think there can be synergies between educational establishments in India and what the committee is doing?
Thank you for having me here. First, I'd like to thank all the dignitaries, Dr. Batra Sahab, Prashant Ji, Menon Sahab, and our Olympian Miss Anju, and fantastic athlete she's been. So, give you a short brief about what we do at the university. We are working at Delhi Pharmaceutical Science Research University. This is a government university where we have started first of its kind Academy for Sports Science Research and Management. We do a lot of research related to sports, and we are trying to add value to the sports ecosystem. we started this program in 2017 with a BSc Sports Science program, and this year we would be adding MSc programs as well as PhD programs. This is a short brief about what we have been doing at the institute. This is associated closely with the government, Delhi government. Delhi government has set up biomechanic lab, human assessment lab, and has supported us a lot in trying to achieve, achieve and adding value towards the sports ecosystem. What we believe the university can guide and help expand the other institutes across the country in implementing similar platforms. We hope to add massive open online courses as well. And under the UGC guidelines, these are acceptable. So we are hoping a lot of this can be adapted and implemented. And I believe I've been going through the Olympic Charter since I heard about it and what is happening in it. And I believe the Olympic Charter could be a great value addition towards the whole sports ecosystem in the country, because the best practices which are followed across the country, across the world, which are not available in India, can be brought in through this channel. India so far has been suffering in terms of physical education, as physical education is not regarded as one of the key components of education in our country. As a result, I think this is a perfect platform with Olympic body introducing the Olympic Education Committee. This will broaden the horizon in terms of activating sports at multiple levels and activating the training program. Now, as you asked me as to how we are adding value, we have already started this program 3 years back. Our first batch of 70 students will be graduating this year. We have initiated the train the trainer programs. We are closely working with large organizations like Kendriya Vidyalaya, where they have actually come forward and worked with us with primary school teachers. We have trained about 870 primary school teachers, and introduction of sports and introduction of modified games for learning activities. This is where we taught the primary school teachers how they should interact and integrate with the children so that they learn what sports is all about from very beginning. This is a great initiative from the government, great initiative from Kendriya Vidyalaya. The governing body of Kendriya Vidyalaya, the commissioner there was very thoughtful. He's a very progressive and sports-oriented person. So he guided us and he integrated with us in running these programs. So we believe the Olympic Education Committee and the whole program, the Olympic Charter, can be fantastically integrated with the sports education system, because we don't have a sports education system as of now. We are just kind of scratching the bare basics of it. And I believe Dr. Batra Sahab has been doing a phenomenal job at the Olympic Committee. And with this initiative, it should be a gigantic leap towards activating sports in India and looking at talent assessment and talent identification at grassroots level. This would probably be the motivation and activating force for it.
Absolutely, Mr. Bagai. You spoke about giant leap. We're definitely seeing massive strides and massive progress. And a lot of it is coming from the synergistic relationship that we're seeing between the educational establishments in India and this committee. I'll now come to Mrs. Anju Bobby George, who, of course, has been on our One Play Sports Networks in the past. Ma'am, it's good to see you again. As a former athlete, I think the one question that I have to ask you, given the testing times that we're facing right now, before talking about the Olympic values, is how do you think athletes can be training during COVID-19 right now? What are some of the best practices that they can actually undertake such that they can still stay somewhat fit, somewhat sharp when play is to resume, which will happen sooner rather than later, we can all hope.
Very good evening, one and all, and thank you very much for inviting me. Actually, at the initial stages, everyone was in a frustrated state, because I think in my career, we never expected something like the Olympics will be stopping and not some uncertainty about that. And we never experienced it. And it was a nightmare for us. And most of the Olympians or Olympic champions or medalists were out of the stadium, and they were not even able to access the stadium or gym, and they were not out of training. And it was a it was like a horrible situation for each and every athlete. But later on, it's everything in a proper manner, and we know what to do. And I am not expecting any competition in this year because every worldwide the COVID-19 is spiking and the number is spiking. So I don't think we can organize any competition this year. So no need to be panic or just continue with your moderate training, and you need to keep your fitness level high. That's all, and be away from all these things because this COVID-19, we know how it's affecting our body. We should be very careful about this because we have no idea how it will affect our performance afterward. So we should be very careful. And now slowly everything is opening up. So athletes are able to access the stadium or are able to access the gym or access into training place. So slowly and steadily we can do, but no need to hurry or no need to because Olympics anyway next year we will get enough time to train or we will get enough time to qualify. So this year just be safe and do your training and no need to perform actually. So just maintain your fitness and maintain your immunity level. That's what we need to do. And but I think by next year everything will be okay, and we will be able to deliver our best in our Olympics. Still, in my event, actually, we are still waiting for an Olympic medal. I think our athletes will be ready by then, and we can get a great show from our athletes next year.
Absolutely, ma'am. And ma'am, before I come to Ayaz, just a very quick thought that I would like from you as chair of the Athletes Commission. How do you think the Athletes Commission, the Athletes Foundation can spread the message of Olympic values? We've spoken about some of the values, we've established what some of those values are. How do you think the Athletes Commission can do its bit in spreading the message of these values?
Actually, Athletes Commission, it's a part of IOC, and we are working under Indian Olympic Association. So this is an organization. We are actually mediating the athletes and IOC and International Olympic Committee. So actually, we can support our athletes. And actually, in Athletes Commission, there are a lot of programs we are planning, and we can educate our athletes how to compete. That is the one area, and how to behave. That is one area, and what we can do after sports, after our career. How we can, a lot of areas where we can work. So we are just slowly into that, and we are working on that. Actually, most of our athletes, most of our Olympians now started athletes academies. So through our academies, we can support our youngsters, and we are not only training athletes to win competition. We are trying to make role models from our. So through my academy, actually, I am trying to. It's a kind of women empowerment. So most of our athletes from rural areas, and I have got 13 young athletes. Most of them are from North India, and they are actually, even in 1 year of time, they are showing their talents, and they are one of my athletes, world number 2. So we are not only teaching how to jump or how to be a champion. We are creating role models for our society, and we are trying to teach them the value of Olympic values, and how to act in a society, how to compete in a competition, and how to behave yourself. So it's a kind of education. It's a part of Olympic movement. So it's a commitment to our society, what we are doing.
Absolutely, ma'am. Certainly, like the work that you're doing with your committee, and the work that you're doing at being part of the Athletes Foundation is certainly very, very noble. Ayaz, I'll come to you now. You know, as someone who's covered the Olympic Games, covered international sports for so many years, as a veteran journalist, a journalist extraordinaire, talk to me at a high level about the philosophy of the Olympics. Talk to me a bit more about Olympism, what the significance of this term is, and also the importance of Olympic education, and how important or imperative Olympic education becomes in the 21st century.
Well, I think it's a very interesting and important question that you've raised, because Olympism is what? It's a philosophy, as Anju Bobby George also mentioned, and also Dr. Batra. It's not about organizing games. That's not just what Olympics means. There is an idealism which drives this whole enterprise of sports being played at this level with such a huge, and it's not just about the 10,000, 11,000 athletes who assemble every 4 years. And of course, they are very accomplished individuals, but it's not just about them. The idealism and the Olympism that you talk about, or we talk about, spreads to all societies, all races, all religions across the globe, down to the smallest unit of our human race. The attempt is to get them all into this fold to believe in a certain way of living through the medium of sports. Now that's very important to understand, because you might say sports mein kya hai, you have to participate, somebody wins, somebody loses. No, it's not just that. It's how you participate, what you do to train, how do you train your mind, what do you ideate about, what do you cherish, what is your ambition, how do you propose reaching there. All of these are factored into what Olympism is. It teaches, just as a random thought, it teaches the value of fairness, of accomplishing things without being covetous. Of course, you have to covet a medal, but you don't have to do it in a nefarious way. That's a very important learning that you have. So all of these are meshed together, which makes for the Olympic ideal. And as we grow longer, as we grow, the movement grows longer. Once the modern Olympics, hours. When the modern Olympics started about 120 years ago, or 124 years ago, and to now, this journey has just added more and more dimensions, because look, human beings are complex by nature, and society has become more complex. And for all of us to navigate through these complexities, it's become more and more imperative to have a certain medium which helps you cope with life itself. And I think this is where the Olympism that we talk about, or the Olympic ideal, or the Olympic movement becomes paramount. Now again, let me give you an example. It's been through its ups and downs, even the Olympics, the hurdles, and I don't mean just this pandemic which has pushed it by a year, deferred it by a year, which is unprecedented. And I'll share something more about what Anju Bobby George mentioned about what the impact has been on athletes. But there have been boycotts of the Olympics, there have been protests, there's been the gunning down of athletes at the Olympic Village. It's seen all of that, and yet it's through the Olympic ideal, Olympism, that all the countries of this world come back and try and cohabit as a human race on this planet. And what we've got in 2012, if I remember correctly, or maybe 2008, when we got all the countries to participate. Not just that, those countries, athletes from those countries which were displaced, did not have, could not participate through their national federation. They were allowed to compete under the Olympic flag. And in 2012, it was made mandatory not just for athletes from all the countries, but also representation of all genders. You couldn't keep women out of it. So even Saudi Arabia, very conservative in its societal norms, had to send an athlete for the 2012 Olympics. It was a shooter, I think, the lady, if I remember correctly. So the bringing together of the whole entire human race is, to me, the significance of Olympism. It's not just about who won how many medals. That's very important in its own way, in the sporting, in the way of sports. But the idea of Olympism is to harness the human race, bring it together, and show a way out, and kind of lead a life. We all live for 70, 80, 90, maybe some of us who are lucky, maybe for 100 years, but nobody lives for 2000 years. And how to live it well is really, in my opinion, what Olympism is all about.
Absolutely. That's beautifully summed up, Ayaz. We also have Dr. Rakesh Malik, who's joined us along with Mr. Neeraj Kumar Mehra. And I'll just give very quick introductions for both gentlemen. Dr. Rakesh Malik, Deputy Director, Physical Education and Sports, winner of the Maulana Abul Kalam Azad Trophy in 2019, winner of the first Khelo India University Games 2020, and member of IOA, Olympic Education and Others Academic Matters Committee. Dr. Malik, the first question that I'll ask you is, what are some of the past events that you've been involved in when it comes to promotion of Olympism?
First of all, when we came to India in 2014, we made one society, Olympic Society in our college. That is in postgraduate government college, 42, Chandigarh, with my friend Dr. Ramnivas. And after that, in the continuity of same, in 2015 also, we again this increased our branch and again formed this Olympic Society in Desmaj College of Education at Chandigarh. And 2016, we got an opportunity to meet one of my friends, those to whom I met in the Olympia. With this connection, at 2016, we organized 3 days international conference at the Desmaj College on the motto that is promoting Olympic values, Olympism through art, culture, and sports. At the time, we signed an MOU with the Olympism for Humanity Society, and in 2018, with my own department at Sports, we organized one more conference for the outstanding sportspersons, that is on sports training in perspective of Olympic education. And last year in 2019, we again organized one more conference at Deenbandhu Chotaram University, Murthal, on this Olympic values. And recently, with the collaboration of National Council of Education and Sports Sciences, we organized a faculty development program on Olympic education, in which more than 200 college teachers and schools has participated on this Olympic education program, and more than 30 speakers from within India and outside India has given their views and thoughts on how we can able to improve the Olympic education program and their values and Olympism in India. So this was the last few development which we took in our nearby areas. And we hope that in future also we could be able to do some more with the help and with the blessings of our Indian Olympic Associations and with the help of our committee, the new formed committee.
Absolutely, Dr. Malik. I think you read my mind. You spoke about the future. I would love to actually understand what some of the future plans are for the Olympic Education Committee.
Sir, as we have discussed with our Honorable President also, committee, Shri Prashant Ji, and with other members also, we are trying to inculcate this program into the college and school levels. We want to include this Olympic education program in the education curriculum, so that the people could, the students and the players and the recreation participant also will know about the values of Olympism, Olympic, how we can able to prepare our athletes, how we can able to remain doping free, how to improve our ethics, especially ethics in sports, and the values of peace and truth, and especially with the help of Olympism, how we can able to serve the community. In relation to same one idea I have, which I will share with my colleagues, Neeraj also, why not to form an Olympic brigade in the school and colleges, which can able to act as a volunteers in the sports curriculum programs and for the community services programs like NSS and NCC. So these are some future ideas which I have in my mind, and we definitely, with the help of our committee, with the blessings of our president, we will try to inculcate this type of education program in our society.
So closing thoughts from all the panelists that we have. Dr. Batra, I'll start with you. What can some of the viewers expect for the webinars that we have lined up from morning until night on the 11th and the 12th? Of course, we're going to be talking about, these are international webinars. We have international dignitaries, and we're going to be talking about Olympism and Olympic education in the 21st century specifically. So can you talk to us a bit more about the significance of these webinars that are coming up this Thursday and Friday?
See, what I'll tell you that this internationally, you'll find them much ahead of us, because they have been doing these activities for now maybe a couple of decades. I just took over about 2 years back, so it took me about 1.5 years to understand what IOA is doing and what is missing and what is required. And when I saw all these things which were missing, so that is how these committees and things were formed to look into this. I think Dr. Malik gave a good idea. Why not make a Olympic, some like NCC in the school level, and also they can be volunteers for other things. So such good things come out of these discussions, and I'm so happy with this today's panel discussion, that the discussion and the panelists who all you have invited, the discussion is of a very high level, so I'm so happy about it. You mentioned about biomechanics and all these things do help. So we have to develop all these programs. You'll be surprised to know that in India, we do not even have a high performance center, which is very essential for training of elite athletes. And biomechanics is one part of that. So we are on the track of doing all these improvements, and you'll have this discussion where I would say don't feel disappointed or bad if you see that we are lagging behind anywhere. If God gives me chance to continue in 21 next year, I can promise you, India, you will not find lagging behind in any other country. The speed and other things we are moving at, I think give us another 2-3 years, and you will find us as good as anyone in the world. Now we have Anju as our president of the Athletes Commission. I'm happy to see since the time she's taken over, she's playing a very active role. The athletes should be very straight, very blunt, and very upfront, not worrying what the president or anybody is going to think. And that is how the systems work. One should not be afraid of criticism. They will come. So until we know what the problems are, we can't find the solutions. So Anju, you are doing a good job. Please keep it up. We'll look for advice from everywhere. We got Prashant, a young gentleman. I'm looking for young people in IOA so they can be the future leaders. So Prashant is doing a fantastic job. So this is how things will build up, and I think we should carry on with such kind of seminars so where we also understand how bad we are working or how good we are working. So I'm happy to take all these comments in a very positive way. Dusra, I think I heard some people addressing me as honorable or respected. Please, my name is Narinder Batra. Address me as that. This president and all positions are temporary for 2 years, 3 years. I would rather prefer to be known as friends rather than as any honorable position. So I'm a very grounded person and I'll prefer to be treated that way. तो मेरे साथ आप बड़े रिलैक्स होकर बात करिए. I don't lose my cool. I understand. I take all good and bad things in a good advice. So I think इस तरह की discussions चलाइए. And I am assuring you, these Olympics we are looking at 10 medals. I am looking at least 25 medals in the next 24 Olympics. And as our minister said, in top 10 in 28. I think a lot of work is going on in that direction. So I'm happy. Please keep on this discussion and do keep on telling us privately or publicly कि हम कहाँ गलत हैं. I'll be very happy to settle that.
Dr. Batra, आपके मुंह में घी शक्कर, definitely. Hopefully, all your good predictions do materialize. The last question is very open-ended. I'm opening it up to all the panelists. Any closing remarks? Any closing thoughts? What can we expect on the 11th, on the 12th, and what does the future trajectory when it comes to promoting Olympism in India look like?
I would like to add, and as the president has given us chance, so we have some of our all team in India. We are around 2,000 odd students who have gone there in Olympia, college students, physical education students, as Anshul Jain, LNCP, Sai, and schools, Kendriya Vidyalaya. We are trying to push each and everybody and expecting around 10 to 15,000 viewers on One Play Sports who will be broadcasting it. So our main objective is that Dr. Malik to just let people know what basically Olympism is, what basically Olympic education is. And as Dr. President has said, as it is new to India, so we want the best people who are doing in world. So we have almost invited 18 country representatives, different 18 countries representatives who are doing work in this platform from a year. They will be sharing their views and they will be telling us what is exactly it is. So we have, it's like first benchmark by putting a roadmap for years. And yes, we, as Dr. Malik said, soon we will be having a meeting as because of COVID, it's like just mails and just phone meetings are going on. Soon we will have physical meetings so we can come up with a big plan. Like it should go in the syllabus of every school. So CBSE sports has taken, but only one page is there in CBSE 11th class on page number 67 about Olympics. But we wish it should go on a brief what exactly Olympism is. Olympics is altogether a different story as Ayaz has told. They come there and play and go. But for that 10,000 people around crores play and that 10,000 goes there as I have added in the initial comments. So our objective is that to at least to build a team on every district level, state level, where Olympism can be pushed in the proper level and people can understand it, people can put to their mind and they can push it. And in fact, our president can also can guide us for the best we can deliver in future.